Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for checking out my latest video here. Thought I'd give you an update on the progress that I've made over the last month or so. We'll start at the front here, underneath the car. So you've seen the radiators in. Again, one for the drive unit, one for the battery pack. I had my buddy Shane at 207 Customs fab me up this piece here, which holds both of the water pumps. These are factory Tesla pieces. This side here is going to be for the drive unit. Side obviously for the battery over here. But we have our reservoir up top coming down into our pump, which runs here and around. Hopefully you can see that, and into the top of the radiator. And back out the bottom here, and then runs all the way down the back. The front one here is not quite hooked up yet. It's just run around to the radiator. I haven't put any batteries in the battery boxes yet, so I won't be running that part yet. And then these will be triggered by the ADM PDU. So we're running back here, and we hit a pressure switch. It's I believe a 2 psi pressure switch, which if you don't have the coolant pressure for the drive unit, it will not allow it to shift. It's a safety feature, so you can't hopefully hurt that drive unit. And then I went into the subframe. Kevin with Project Electrolyte, if you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, definitely check it out. He's got an amazing Tesla swapped Plymouth satellite. He gave me the idea to run this coolant line inside the inside the subframe. There's so many moving pieces over here, and then you can see it comes back out here and into the drive unit. Kind of keeps us away from running through here where you have the half shafts and the suspension pieces all moving. I want to stay away from all that. Then you come back out here. This is coming out of the drive unit. And again, running around and into the subframe and coming back out the top there and running back up. Let's see, next I worked on mounting up this vacuum pump. Obviously without the 2J I don't have vacuum for the brakes. EV West sells this kit. It includes the pump here and the pressure switch and the relay. You have to separately buy the reservoir for it. But my buddy Shane fabbed me up this little mounting bracket for it. And it just runs up to the brake master up top, and that'll take care of my vacuum. I'm going to be redoing some of these wires for the cell tap boards for the BMS. Instead of using a cable connector to go through the battery boxes, I'm going to be using a mil-spec connector. It'll allow me to take the battery boxes in and out of the car with just undoing the plug. Hopefully I won't ever have to use them, but I'm sure something will go wrong at some point, and I'll be real happy that I use those. So we'll see about that. Let's see, moving back here, not too much has changed since last time. I did get the electronic parking brake wired up. There's one on each side. So those are all wired up now. And I think that's about it for underneath the car. Let me drop the car. Okay, I guess we'll start in the front again. So, as you saw from underneath here, we have the two reservoirs for the coolant. Again, drive unit and battery. You can see where I've run the lines here. It'll tuck right underneath the headlights. And haven't done really much else under the hood. I've been trying to avoid dealing with the fuse box. I'm still waiting on all my brake lines. I'll have all new brake lines coming here fairly soon. One other thing I forgot to show, I had Shane mount up this, or fabricate up this new bracket here for the electronic power steering pump. Saved myself about 3.5 pounds. Going to a little smaller one in aluminum. And every pound helps on this car. I'm also starting to try to figure out how to do the cooling inside the battery boxes. So I'll have a line coming in. I don't know if it's going to be the bottom or the side, but it'll come in and hit this manifold and go back out the bottom and continue to the next battery box. And each one of these will go to a battery in, and then you have the 6 batteries coming out going into this one. So there'll be an in loop and an out loop for the battery cooling. Made a fair amount of progress since the last video inside the car here. Still a little bit of a mess, but got my 12-volt battery hooked up here. Most importantly, I got my negative comment box all installed. Just going right outside. So anybody that has those comments, that's where to put them. And I started working on the display here, or the instrument panel. I have an Andromeda display. It's mounted but not wired yet. Pretty much nothing on here is wired. This is how you select which way you want to go. I don't really like this thing. I think it's going to be a temporary thing, but my goal for this car right now is to get it moving and not do too much stuff that is unnecessary, make it move, and then go back and improve on things. So I'm going to stick with that for now. I decided instead of having a switch at each one of the doors, I'm just going to have the windows right here. Got my engine start button and my hazards. Still got a few more things to put up here. The parking brake needs to go up here. A couple indicator lights, that sort of thing, and wire most of that up. Here is the Orion BMS. I got that all mounted up with a plate here. All the plugs are under here. This is just a kick plate that I made, so no one would be kicking the connections. Here we have the Thermistor expansion module for all the thermistors on all the batteries, and that's all that's all wired up. These 2 water switches for the 2 front boxes that will notify me if there is a leak inside of one of the boxes. Hopefully I can show you this. Here we have the wireless expander module and the ADM PDU. We'll use this to trigger the fans and the water pumps, those things. So around back here, I got the DC to DC converter and charger all installed. It's all mounted and wired up. It's a 6.6 kilowatt charger and a 1.5 kilowatt DC to DC converter. So that'll run all my 12-volt stuff. made this panel here to kind of house all my high voltage stuff here. I will have my fabricator make some sort of cover for this when I'm all done, so nothing can be touched. But we have our one-touch window modules for the electronic parking brakes. Those are all wired up with the exception of running a switch up to the instrument panel. Have two more water switches here, one for the mid box and one for the rear box. Have my fuses here for the DC to DC converter and charger, and the other one runs over to the pre-charge resistor, or I'm sorry, the pre-charge contactor. This is the main contactor and the high voltage main fuse, and this is pretty much all wired up here. Need to connect a few more things. This needs to be a high voltage connection here, and then this side runs to my most positive battery, which will be right here, and the drive unit needs to be connected. And then our negative is going to be right here. We have our most negative battery on one side and then our motor negative on the other. And this is our maintenance switch right here, our safety switch, and that'll be right behind the license plate. So if you see me cruising down the road and I'm riding the Lightning, rip off my license plate and give that a little twist. Other than that, I think that's about it. Got the CAN bus wire here that I ran all around. I'm praying that I did that right. I'm praying I did a lot of these things right. If you guys, see something that you think I'm doing wrong, or see something that you think I can do better, I have no problem listening to constructive criticism. This is my first time doing anything like this, so a lot of the stuff I'm doing it and then I'm realizing I did it wrong, or I could have done it better, and having to go back and change things. So again, if you see something, please feel free to share. And I'm gonna keep working away. Thanks for watching.